Hi, we're Emma and Molly and we're from Jam the Label. Jam is an inclusive clothing line designed with people with disability in mind. Being an inclusive clothing brand means that our clothes look just like any other clothing but have simple additions that make them more functional for people to wear. We recently had our photo shoot of our new range and we wanted to show you how we went about doing it. We hope that from this video other brands and retailers will see not only the importance of including those with disability, but also that it's not as intimidating as some people might think. This is such an important thing for the Australian fashion industry to pay attention to because it impacts 20% of the Australian population. We also think it's a really good opportunity for people to extend their customer range as it is such a large proportion of consumers.
Authentic representation, to me, it's about representing people for who they are. You're not having a non-disabled model pretend that they're a wheelchair user. It's just about representing as many demographics as possible because that's what our community is. Society as a whole has this unconscious bias that either people with disability don't exist, or that we can't get jobs, or that we can't go to school or be educated, and that's because we're not represented in that way. To be truly inclusive, you need to be inclusive on set, behind the scenes, in your framing and everything.
We asked every single person on our set for their accessibility needs, from the model to the photographer to the makeup artists. We asked for their accessibility needs, their preferred pronouns, and their dietary requirements. It's as simple as that. You don't need to be experts on access to be able to ask the question.
It's something that every brand and every label should be working towards and should be doing. It's not that hard to ask someone what their access needs are, and it's not that hard to be inclusive of their access needs.
Obviously this is really easy for us to say because we work with people with disability every day, but we do understand that this might be intimidating for some people who maybe haven't interacted with someone with disability before.
No one's going to get upset by you simply asking the question of what their accessibility needs are. It's better to feel maybe a little bit uncomfortable asking the question than to exclude altogether.
Once you've asked the question and know people's accessibility requirements, it just becomes part of your natural planning process.
You're already organising the location, so you might just need to look for things like flat access or an accessible toilet, and you're already creating a call sheet, so you might need to just think about having a model's call time last because they may fatigue easily. When we were planning our photo shoot, we loved the space we found and it worked with a lot of our vendors. However, there were little things like the toilet was inaccessible, so we just hired an accessible portaloo, or there were a few steps around, so we just got a portable ramp.
There were other things such as not just physical access things, but things like having a quiet space for those who maybe needed to have a rest or who have sensory differences. Stuff like that sounds intimidating, but again, we just made that space from furniture around and made it in a quiet corner. And I think often just knowing that those spaces are available or that you've thought about those sort of things makes such a difference to people feeling really comfortable on your set as well.
And feeling included. Inclusion is about more than just physical access though. Disability is so broad, with 1 in 5 Australians living with disability. On our set, we had people with physical disability, invisible disabilities and chronic pain. We understand it's so important to collaborate with people with lived experience, so we brought Jason Climo on board to not only be one of the models on the day, but he was also our creative director.
If you have someone behind the scenes sort of directing photographer, they can control the way that that narrative is shown to make sure that it's genuine, to make sure that it doesn't end up being something that's comes from a pitying perspective.
Our hope is that other fashion brands or labels will see this video and realise that you can be inclusive without being expert in disability.
And also that there's just so much possible growth for them in their business to include people with disability. I think we would like everyone to have the opportunity to be represented in the media. If you're watching this and wanting to implement change but not sure about the first step to take or how to go about it, please feel free to reach out to us.
You can find us via our email or on our socials. We're @JamTheLabel.